All right, folks, let's go ahead and break down a little bit about your Utah Jazz here. Now, again, first, folks, before we get into the content, we want to remind you that this channel, Utah Jazz DNA, is a channel specifically designed for you Utah Jazz content. All of our Utah Jazz content will be posted here on this channel. If you want to hear our full-length episode, is available on our main channel, DNA Sports Recap, where we cover all of our subjects we talk about each week on the podcast. But everything that posts on this channel is Utah Jazz specific. So if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you smash that like button for your boy AJ over there. Boom. And check out the merch store. We got that Hot Rod Huntley t-shirt. It's fire. Check it out. Absolutely love it. But yeah, so what's going on, AJ?
We need to talk a little bit about Isaiah Collier.
Yeah. So do you want me to intro this? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we first want to talk about a player that's been playing well and getting some attention and on pace to break a nice little record set by the GOAT, literally one of the
assist
best
GOAT
and the steals GOAT. Have you seen the side-by-side comparison with him and LeBron?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to send you this, and I'll put it up on the screen here if we actually get a chance to post it. But basically, there's like 16 categories where we're talking about John Stockton in case you haven't noticed, but it has like 16 categories where it says games played, all-star appearances, shooting percentage and everything. John Stockton leads in all but 2 categories. Yet LeBron's supposed to be the GOAT, right?
The GOAT.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't think John Stockton's the greatest of all time. But when you talk about the greatest player as far as longevity and everything, yeah, your boy Stockton's got to be up there. But anyway, so Isaiah Collier is actually set to break the rookie assist record that was set by your boy John Stockton, one of the statues out front. Now we both previously have spoken very highly about this player, about Isaiah Collier. You at the time of the draft, and then me again a little bit later about how his build is very, D-Will-esque, and how he could potentially be the type of player that this team needs. And the fact that we're already getting into this conversation that he, as a rookie, can potentially break how many assists Stockton had in his rookie year, when that kid put up like 20 assists a game, kind of impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Collier's he's kind of growing right in front of our eyes. I mean, he's played in 49 games so far this season and averaging 24 minutes per game so far this year, which is kind of surprising considering he has come off the bench for the majority of those games. It's only been recently that he really started starting in some of these games. So right now he's averaging 7 points, 6 assists, 3.1 rebounds per game. He has struggled from the 3-point line. He's only shooting 23.9%. Kind of expected. And he's also currently posting a plus minus of negative 3.9, but that number is really never going to be good to look at when you've got a team that's losing as many games as the Jazz are, right?
Right. They're not trying to win.
Exactly. And so anytime you're looking at plus minuses and a team that's losing, it's really hard to dictate that as whether that's a statistic that you can use to really analyze a player's effectiveness in a game. So I don't know. Isaiah's he's been really great to watch because he continues to get better every single game. He is a great defensive player that is really physical, and he plays with a much higher motor than I think I really expected. His basketball IQ is really fun to watch because he does his best to make every single person around him better. And you can see that. And that's the reason that, just like the stat that you just talked about, he's got a chance to potentially break some of these assist records because he's not looking to get points for himself every single time he touches the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to get the best possible open shot for every single person on the floor. And he does a really good job exploiting other teams if they break down early or they go to cover him, because he is a force when he's rolling to the basket. Kid's got a chance to get a bucket every single time. He's talented. He's crafty with the ball in his hands, and he can find that player that's open. And I bet you if he had better shooters on this team all around, his assist numbers would be much higher than they currently are.
Oh yeah, for sure. It wouldn't be even close. Now, I mean, we all know John Stockton wasn't the starting point guard when he was a rookie, but Isaiah, like you mentioned, has only played in 47 games so far this year.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily, being the starting point guard on a winning team either. But to break his rookie record for an assist is still very impressive. I think what's kind of interesting about this though is that Isaiah Collier, we talked about him last week, right? When we talked about who he's kind of the steal of this draft.
Yeah.
And check it out. It's on it's on our video podcast list for the Utah Jazz DNA channel. We'll link it somewhere down below as well. I think it's really kind of interesting because we hinted on this last week, and now this comes up this week. And I just really think that this team is kind of in a position where you can take something. Obviously, this team doesn't have. There's not a whole lot of storylines to talk about when it comes to this team, but this is definitely one of them. And I think he's making the best of the fact that Keyonte George got demoted for his defense. He's realized hey, I got a shot to prove something here, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and he really needed to take advantage of every single opportunity that he gets, because the kid is really talented. And the fact is with all the things that he's able to do, he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective, which is really kind of Keontae's downfall. And we'll talk more about Keyonte coming up. But I don't know, Isaiah's he's so talented with the ball in his hands to make his teammates better that you can't pass up on an opportunity like getting a position to start on a team. And especially, like, you can see the Jazz. I mean, they're playing guys they're picking up off G League rosters. I mean, they're on the floor.
Right.
There's a reason these guys aren't NBA rosters, right? They're not shot makers per se. And I don't know. I think he's just done a really good job with every single minute he's gotten.
Yeah, I mean, some of these assist holes are definitely being helped by the fact that he is being slacked off 10 feet whenever he's around the 3-point line. So he's definitely got a lot more visual space to kind of see, everything there. And, he is undersized at 6'2" as a point guard, but I really kind of think that he's in a good position to make the most out of it. And, who knows if he actually can raise those points, the shooting percentages by 10 points across the board going into next season, which is totally doable, because that gets him to just slightly above league average, which will put him right around just a little bit above Ricky Rubio's shooting percentage on average. Yeah, I think we put him in a great position to, again, maintain his status on this team and be here with this team when they're ready to compete. But anyway, so going from one steal of the draft to another, let's talk about we talked about how Isaiah Collier is one of the better defending guards on this team. Let's talk about the worst defensive guard on this team, which is Keyonte George. Yeah.
I mean, Keyonte is, well, you intro this one.
Okay, sure. So there was an article on SI.com that was headlined Jazz Keyonte George starting to deliver on promise. Earlier in this season, we talked about the Utah Jazz sending KG3, which, again, I'm coining that phrase. It's going on a T-shirt. It's going to be sent to the bench as a message saying that they wanted to improve his on the defensive end of the ball, which we talked about in great detail about how the head coach for the Jazz, basically says he's the first coach ever to pressure him to actually do better on defense or to care how he's playing on defense.
Yeah.
Well, from this article, what that says, it looks like he's really stepping up to that challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we need to prerequisite this with a little bit of what Keyonte's stats are right now. Okay, because I think we need to know that he is averaging almost 17 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game.
Which is impressive.
It's not much off that ridiculous Isaiah Collier number we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you look at the last 10 where he's coming off the bench, and again, he was benched because of his defensive performances, right? He's averaging 19.6, 4.7 rebounds, and again, 5.9 assists while shooting 37% from three.
Yeah.
So he's playing much better coming off the bench. But like you said, the fact is he has stepped up to the challenge, right? And I think it really shows that he's taking strides in the right direction, because Keyonte is a really great scorer, no secret. But NBA level defense is something that most players just don't get to immediately. You don't step into the league and you're not an NBA ready defender.
Unless that's what you're being,
unless that's why you were drafted. Absolutely. Yeah. Taylor Hendricks is a great example. He has elite size, elite quickness, especially laterally. They thought he would be an elite NBA defender, which he was. I mean, we saw before he went off the floor early this year, he was being tasked with guarding the team's best player because he has elite size and elite lateral quickness. But if we look at the same production over these last 10, I mean, there's no question, I think, that Keyonte could very well end up being the player that we kind of hoped he would be. I'm still sticking on the Keyonte train, because if coming off the bench is all he needed to show that he can be a better defensive player, we know this kid can score the basketball. And if he can step up and even be an average NBA defensive player, Keyonte is going to be a great player, because Donovan Mitchell is the player that's notoriously, I feel like in a Jazz fan's mind, we watch this meteoric rise of Donovan Mitchell. How was Donovan Mitchell as a defensive player?
Well, actually, that was one of his calling cards coming into the NBA.
Supposed to be his calling card, right? Because he had elite wingspan.
But as soon as he made
and
it,
he was quick.
He was not a great defender.
Not a great defender, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. And statistically looking at Donovan's metrics defensively, he was a below average defender.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And some of that is skewed, right? You did have Rudy Gobert, who was obviously he was a catch-all. I mean, literally, Quinn Snyder's defensive schemes relied on you feed them into Rudy. Like if they think that they can shoot a 12-foot jump shot, which is the lowest efficiency shot in the game, give it to them. I mean, there's 3 players in the league that can beat you with that: Chris Paul, DeMar DeRozan, and maybe De'Aaron Fox. Those are the players that are going to beat you with a mid-range jump shot. Everybody else, they've got to take it to the rack, and Rudy's going to clean up most of that. So he's passing a lot of his defensive assignments on. Obviously, Donovan's defensive metrics may be a little bit skewed in some of that. But if Keyonte can become an average defensive player with his high-powered offensive ability, Keontae's got a chance to be a great player in this league.
No, I agree, man. Like I said before, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the starting point guard on this team when they become a competitor. I definitely think he can take on that JC role when JC steps away from it for this team and be an elite scorer off the bench that does handle, and some of these offensive stats are kind of pushed up by the fact that he's playing the second unit on some of these other teams, which aren't necessarily as good defenders as the starters. So
potentially
that does help with the offensive numbers, but that's not really what his assignment's based off. It's based off of improving on defense and improving on efficiency with those soft selections. So I think that's kind of a big part of it. But yeah, well, while I see that Keyonte has the talent, he's probably, again, going to be the type of player that's going to be coming off the bench for this team when I see them competing. But I'm glad to see that he is actually kind of focusing on this and kind of pushing chips in the middle and kind of giving it his all when he has a chance to. So
yeah.
Love to see it.
No, I think Keyonte is going to be great, man. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. So we got a couple of comments here. We got the first one from Greg Hawkins say, yeah, go Jazz. Yeah, we got to talk about something, man. So appreciate the enthusiasm on that one. We got a comment here from McKinley Cutler saying, hello from Japan. Love what I'm seeing from the Jazz young players, especially Kessler. I think he's really separated himself.
Totally agree.
Yes. First of all, dude, what time is it in Japan right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. McKinley, make sure you leave us a comment and let us know what time it is in Japan right now.
Because that's awesome, man. That's baller status right there. The fact that you're out there,
and we also very much appreciate it.
You're there watching our show, whatever time it is in Japan, man. That's fantastic. We appreciate it. Also coming up, that we have, but all the rookies and Keyonte have shown enough to make me want to see where they end up. Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to where they end up, like if they end up on another team to kind of see where they go, or if you're thinking probably more on like where the team ends up with these players, I think both of those narratives would be kind of interesting because I don't know, man. It's been kind of fun to watch these guys and see how they've been growing as a unit.
I think it makes me really optimistic for the future of this team because these rookies have really showed that this team has a chance to be competitive. Imagine when we're actually trying to win ball games, because we all know that we're not trying to right now.
Yeah, I think that's a big point, and definitely something we'll put on a future episode is kind of the resurgence. We kind of called this earlier this year.
Yeah.
One of our keys to this season when we first started this season's preseason games is we wanted to see if Walker Kessler could really rebound this season and recover what he lost from last season.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's just hands down no way you can argue that. So we'll definitely get into that and we'll maybe do something about that next week. I also want to do an update on Cody Williams, man. We got to see we got to do an updated video.
Yeah, we do for sure.
Let's go ahead and jump into more of these comments here before we move on. Car Watch Channel, Utah up 2 update 2-0 Utah. We scored a 5-on-3 power play. Nice. And it ended at the end of the first quarter. And it's in first intermission.
Nice.
Perfect. So we've got
2-0 Utah.
2-0. So it's 2-0 Utah. Perfect.
Love it. Thanks for the updates, Car Wash Channel.
Absolutely. Greg Hawkins also comments the Jazz really put
the Jazz just really suck, man.
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed to call myself a fan. At least with Mitchell, it was exciting.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't long. See, I think that's kind of the rub right now, and I think that's why people are expecting things out of players like Cody and Keyonte, is that this team is not used to being bad for long, and so when we get a top 10 pick, we want to see something out of them.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily Donovan Mitchell-esque or, type superstardom like right out of the gate. I don't think really Donovan Mitchell is considered a superstar. I think he's an all-star level talent. He's never going to be the first option on a championship team, in my opinion, but he was the leader of this team right out the gate. And we were expecting to see something similar to that, which to your point, that's not always going to develop out of everybody.
Right.
but we want to see some consistency out of the rookies that we've been able to draft as our first draft during this tankathon, right?
Also really hard playing on a team that's losing like they are. It's really hard to go out there and say, I'm going to give every single thing that I have, regardless of how the score ends up, because everybody in that locker room has to know you're not going out there to win ball games.
Yeah, no, definitely true. That's true. It's a different situation from when Donovan was in the team because we were expecting to compete there because we were surprised by the Gordon Hayward thing. We still have pieces here that we're trying to win. So it was definitely a different situation.
And then Donovan steps on the floor and averages 20 his first year in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big difference. Big difference. Let's see here. It's
Car Wash Channel said it's 11:52 a.m. in Japan. So I guess it's like noon. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still, man. That's still awesome, man. Appreciate it. That's very cool.
Also cool you're in Japan.
Yeah, also cool. Yeah. Are you there for the... No, you're probably not there for Tokyo. That's not even for a month. You know, that's another month from now.
Might be a little premature.
Yeah. Crazy, though. That's awesome, man. Thanks for tuning in for sure. You got anything else on the Utah Jazz?
No, man. I'm getting more... My excitement's building on this team.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Because the more we watch them, yes, they're losing, but they are they're gaining some consistency in some of these key roles that in the future, these guys are going to have spots that are going to matter. They're going to have minutes that matter. And if they can build some chemistry between some of these players, it's going to be a really fun team to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really also kind of interesting here is that one big game is coming up on Friday. I guarantee he's going to be out with a sore back on that one. You know, right now we have 4 starters out. We're playing a bunch of G League players, right?
Yeah.
And when Cody Williams isn't making the court on that, you know, it's kind of tough. But one game that they're going to play all is going to be this Friday. Tomorrow's game is against Minnesota because we own their pick. So can you imagine, you know, everybody, what we want to do is we want to root for the Jazz as Jazz fans. We want them to lose as much. And then we also want any team playing the Timberwolves to win because we own that pick.
Absolutely.
Imagine having 2 lottery picks.
Well,
in this
chances are Minnesota's not doing great this year. I think they've got a 14th pick right now.
Yeah.
So we could potentially have a top 3 pick and a 14th pick with Minnesota's right now.
Yeah. So I just think that'd be fantastic. So expect to have all the players from the Utah Jazz actually not hurt miraculously tomorrow night.
Could be crazy.
Once again, folks, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about the Utah Jazz, what we talked about today when it comes to both Isaiah Collier and Keyonte George. We'd love to hear from you. Your thoughts on that. Did we miss anything? Please let us know in the comments down below. As a reminder, folks, Utah Jazz DNA is the home of all of our Jazz content. All of our Utah Jazz content will be posted here. So be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're here for the Jazz, man. We'd love to hear from you. Smash that like button for your boy AJ over there. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Join the club, man. Appreciate it.